Just when you think you've learned everything about saturation, well, I got more for you to learn. Let's do it. As I mentioned from the last video, I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to show you how I implement saturation and also touch bases on a few other things like gain staging, compression, and to show you how a little goes a long way. So let me start off with this track. It's from a group that I'm producing called 3, and I mixed this track into saturation. But when I re-recorded the mix down to 2 tracks, I took off the master bus saturation, and I kind of wanted to start over. But when I do that, it totally takes away from the mix that I had. Take a listen.
I was lost in the dark. You showed me the way and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold
Look, I think about you. Love me, I had nothing to offer. Shedding tears while I swim in this bottle of vodka. Open eyes, sealed lips, wasn't much of a talker. That type of shit can get your head pushed under the water. Don't take my word, I'm just a human, we breathing the same. And when they put us in the ground, it be meaning the same. When they open up our veins, we be bleeding the same. Time to up the dose a bit, the meds ain't relieving the pain. And all that fake shit, I ain't really trying to partake, nigga. Then we up them chemicals that'll put you in a dark space. Focus on the hustle, try and pull up in that dark rave. Self-made label, King's Table, watching Scarface. Blade on my person, I cut you, I wouldn't fuck with me. Residuals of shit that I learned when I was in custody. Kill your favorite rapper and I make that shit look easy. So I can't leave rap alone, the game needs me.
I was lost in the dark.
Okay, there's a lot going on there. The snare's too loud, the vocals aren't loud enough, nothing is gelling or gluing together, everything just sounds separate, which is understandable because when I did the mix, I mixed it into the saturation, as that was a part of the sound and also a part of my decisions as I'm mixing. So I do recommend while mixing, you mix into the saturation or make those decisions early. Now, mind you, there is no hard rule to this, and this is just what I do. Now, you have to do what works best for you, but these videos are here to make you think a little bit different and broaden your palette when mixing. With that said, let's go to the end of the song. Usually, that is the loudest part.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Okay, so I'm gonna loop that ending part, and my goal right off the back is to control the mix, is to tame that snare, is to bring out the vocal a little bit, and also try to get some volume, and to bring out those keyboards and those background vocals. So what I started with is Patchwork, and the plugin inside of Patchwork is Front DAW. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed
So it's giving me some volume, first of all, which is due to the saturation and it pushing the RMS level. That's exactly what I want. I'm also gain staging. So as you can see, I'm still maintaining that -12 peak level. I'm going to be doing that throughout this whole process. And the reason being, so you can hear the differences of each process that I do, so you can see the accumulation of saturation and RMS level and how I gradually get it louder and thicker and more up front, yet and still I maintain the integrity of the song. That's my whole goal in this, is to be able to get it louder, but still maintain the integrity of the track, of the vocals that's a part of the track, and get them all to melt together to create a cohesive work of art. That should be our goal, right? So let's hear it with and without the plugin again.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Okay, perfect. Now, my mindset is I'm going into the console and now I want to go to tape. Now, I don't always have to go to tape. I don't always have to follow certain rules. It's just for me, again, taming that snare because it's really loud, and me pushing it into tape might round off those transients. And also, I kind of want to get a little bloom to the actual sound. And what do I mean by bloom? What that means for me is to give it a little bit more width, that the sides come out a little bit, makes the track sound more bigger, like I'm inflating the sound, like I'm making it come out a little bit more. So what I tried first was Real Tape by Avid. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
That sounded good, but I know I can do better, and I have a better tool for what I'm trying to achieve. So next, I pulled up Soft Tube Tape because I wanted to hear a little bit more low end.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Now that gave me the low end that I was looking for, but I was also looking for a little bit more volume and also a little bit more width. So Avid's Real Tape gave me the plush sound. Soft Tube Tape gave me the low end sound. So this next plugin by Hornet, it's called Tape. And this gave me the exact sound I was looking for. It has the plush sound to it with that soft tube low end. And it gives me the volume I'm looking for plus the width. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Now that's what I'm talking about. And this is the reason why I have so many plugins in the same vein, but they act so different because they're made by different manufacturers, different developers. And when one developer thinks that tape sounds like this, or they model this type of tape machine, there's another developer modeling a totally different tape machine, and they see it sounding like this. It's always great to have different type of colors to paint your palette. Now, for some of you, you like the Avid Real Tape, and others, they like the soft tube tape, and that's fine. Go for it. But I wanted to see something else, a different type of color, a different type of feel, and I think the Hornet plugin nails it. So let's move on. Now, it's sounding really good. The volume is nice. It's sounding plush, but I want to see what else I can do with it. Let's try the VMR Hollywood. I'm not looking for volume, and the volume may even go lower. At this point of it, I'm looking for vibe. I'm looking for a certain sound, something different than what I have right now that kind of pulls it together to give it that something else. Can't explain it. Let's check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Yep, it's taming the snare a little bit more, bringing out the kick a little bit more punchy. Though I got the volume before it, it kind of brings the sound in a little bit. I like it. It's hard to explain, but I like it. Let's keep it moving. Now we're getting to the mix out bus. This is where the money's at. And I always start off with a saturation plugin that gives me a little bit of volume, but a lot of tame. I want to tame the mix at this point. I want to control it. I want to try something a little bit different. I pulled the Shep's Omni channel. I really like the pre-saturation on this one. I also really like the filters, and that thump on the bottom does something for me. I also used the de-esser on it, and of course, I turned down the output. Check it out. Let me know what you think.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Yeah, I really like that. The saturation is really nice and tight. The filters do a really good job at tightening the low end and the high end. I'm not sure what that thump does, but it sounds really nice. It really brings out that low end, or like the low mids. I used the de-esser to control the S's in the vocal and turn down the output to match the level. Again, gain staging throughout. Great plugin. Moving along. Time to compress. And this plugin is my SSL bus compressor. It's called the JST BG Mix. And I'm not sure if they modeled the SSL bus compressor, but this one sounds exactly like the SSL bus compressor. And what I'm looking to do at this point is get some movement going, get some breathing going, get some volume and vibe going, get the speakers to start pushing and pulling. And if it's done right, it'll start sounding magical. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Oh yeah, it's starting to sound great. Now, let's add a different type of saturation that will pull out even more of the compression that we just did. Now, this plugin is a little secret weapon, and it's not the free version. I see that used a lot, and even though it looks exactly like the free version, it sounds nothing like the free version. Let me show you.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights. I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me
Soft-Tube Focusing Equalizer, the saturation on that plugin, it's so different than the free version. It's so much more smoother. It reacts totally different to the transients and so much better overall, even to the low end than the free version. The free version is cool. It sounds nowhere near the Focusing Equalizer saturation. There's a lot of tips in this video, but that is the trick. Okay, moving on. The last saturation plugin is the Pulsar Mu, and not only is it saturating, but it also intermingles the compression with it, so it makes the saturation sound smoother. Not only that, but it does a phenomenal job of gluing the mix, of making the middle sound punchy, but the sides sound airy. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
That plugin does an incredible job of gluing the mix, making it punch, and just making it sound professional, making it sound like a record. And without a doubt, it's my go-to mix bus compressor, my go-to finalizer compressor. And any compressor that you use before it just brings out that sound of that compressor. Absolutely love it. Okay, so I've been using the Waves L2 as a +12 volume fader to bring up the sound of this mix. It's not limiting, but there is a limiter that I always go to, and to me, it brings out the sound closer to you, and it's called the Fab Filter Pro L2. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
For some reason, it really widens the sound. It makes it sound fuller. Can't explain it, but I do use the L2 for channels to bring up volumes on certain instruments, but I use the Fab Filter limiter for my master. I also use the Sonox limiter as well. That one is really good and sounds different than the Fab Filter one. They both sound great. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, just like any other plugin. So now let's play it without any plugins and then play it with the plugins. Again, I'll use the limiter just as a volume knob. It's not limiting the audio. Check it out.
I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights. I was lost in the dark. Now you showed me the way, and you taught me how to light myself up on dark days. I was so cold. You gave me the fire, and you taught me how to warm my heart up on cold nights.
Okay, so I think I covered saturation pretty good out of these 3 videos. If you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, go check them out. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below as I read all the comments. And I really appreciate you guys being patient and enjoying the videos. I love making it for you guys. I love giving you this information, and I got a lot more videos coming. Spread the word, you guys. See you on the next video.
What you wanna do? Tell me what you wanna do. I'm about to go with you. Yeah, I got a slimmy at home. I got a slimmy at home. And I'm about to act the fool. Yeah. Tell me what you wanna do. it's on you. Yeah, 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 yeah. What you wanna do? What you wanna do? Let me know what you wanna do. It's on you. Shout it.